Here's something that will shake you to your core. Most guys walk around thinking they know themselves. They believe they understand their own minds, their own desires, their own weaknesses. But then they have the audacity to claim they understand women. This is the biggest lie you tell yourself every single day. Ancient Greek philosopher Plato never wrote dating manuals. He didn't create pickup artist techniques. He did something far more dangerous. He exposed a fundamental flaw in how your mind works. He revealed how easily you can be controlled without even knowing it. And the biggest controller? Your own illusions about women. You know that famous story about prisoners chained in a cave? They're staring at shadows on the wall, thinking those shadows are reality. They worship these fake images. They build their whole life around illusions. But here's what your philosophy teacher never told you. One of the most powerful shadows controlling your mind is your idea of women. Not real women, your fantasy version of them. You see her smile and call it love. You see her tears and call it sincerity. You feel her touch and call it destiny. But you're just a prisoner staring at shadows. You're living in a fantasy world and calling it reality. She doesn't even have to try to control you. Your own delusions do all the work. Plato said the worst deception is self-deception. You lie to yourself about being rational when it comes to women. You think you're making logical choices, but you're actually a slave to your emotions. The chains aren't on your body. They're wrapped around your mind. Plato described your soul like a chariot pulled by two horses. One horse is noble. It wants wisdom, truth, and discipline. The other horse is wild. It craves pleasure, beauty, and instant gratification. You're supposed to be the driver controlling both horses. But every time a woman shows up, the wild horse breaks free. It drags you toward her attention, her validation, her approval. And you let it happen because you call this madness falling in love. In ancient times, they call romantic love divine madness. It's madness that blinds you, consumes you, makes you worship beauty while forgetting reality. Yes, it feels divine, but it's still madness. And unless you learn to control it, you're nothing but a puppet. Women know this power they have over you. They understand that you're ruled by this emotional chaos. She doesn't need to be evil to destroy you. She just needs to exist in your mind as the prize. You turn her into your purpose, your meaning, your ultimate reward. Once you do that, you stop seeing her as she really is. You see her as you desperately want her to be. This is the perfect setup for manipulation. Plato warned about flatterers, people who tell you what you want to hear to control you. Who's a bigger flatterer than a woman who knows you crave her validation? She becomes a puppeteer, and you become the eager puppet. You dance for her attention, sacrifice your dignity, abandon your mission. You think she's playing the game, but the game started long before she arrived. The real war isn't between you and her. It's between your higher self and your base desires. Every time you choose pleasure over principle, fantasy over reality, you defeat yourself. She doesn't need to lift a finger. Your own weakness does all the destroying. Plato divided the human soul into three parts. Reason seeks wisdom and truth. Spirit seeks honor and recognition. Appetite seeks pleasure and comfort. When it comes to women, most men live entirely in appetite. She smiles, you feel good. She gives attention, you feel validated. She touches you, you feel alive. But this is the lowest part of your being. This is why women have such terrifying power over weak men. She doesn't need to challenge your mind or respect your goals. She just needs to feed your appetite for validation, and you'll sell your soul for another taste. Like a man dying of thirst, you'll crawl on your knees begging for drops of approval, while she controls the water you once had the power to create yourself. Look around you with honest eyes. Men betray their families for a stranger's touch. Men destroy their businesses for a woman's approval. Men kill themselves because she left. What more proof do you need that you're ruled by the weakest part of yourself? Plato's warning was crystal clear. No man is free who is not master of himself. If you haven't mastered your cravings, your need for validation, your desperate hunger for her attention, you are not free. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how successful you look. If she can break you with a glance, you're still a prisoner. Plato argued that civilizations fall when men allow pleasure to rule over discipline. What is modern society but a graveyard of men who sacrifice their strength for female approval? You see it everywhere, in politics, in business, in culture. Men bowing, apologizing, submitting not to truth, but to the fear of losing her. Women don't manipulate you. They reflect your ungoverned soul. She plays the game because you invited her to the table. You came blind, desperate, and unprepared. But you can flip the board. You can rise from the cave. You can reclaim control of your mind. Every woman tests men for one simple reason: to reveal the weakness that already lives inside you. She's not creating your weakness. She's exposing it. She pushes your boundaries to see if you'll hold the line. She withholds affection to see if you'll beg. She challenges your beliefs to see if you'll betray them just to keep her around. Here's the brutal irony most men never understand. Every time you fold, she loses respect for you. Because deep down, she knows a man who can't rule himself can't rule anything. Not his life, not his future, not his legacy. She's actually hoping you'll be strong enough to pass her tests. Plato described the perfect ruler as someone who has mastered his soul, someone who seeks truth above all else, someone who cannot be shaken by the games others play. If you can look at her and see not a goddess, not an enemy, but simply a mirror, you become what Plato called a just man. The man who rules himself cannot be manipulated, cannot be destroyed, cannot be played. So here's the challenge. Stop chasing shadows. Stop worshiping illusions. Stop trading your soul for temporary affection. Stand up, look in the mirror, and face the parts of yourself you've been too afraid to confront. Here's what Plato understood that modern men refuse to accept. You're addicted to female validation, like a drug. Every smile she gives you feels like a hit of cocaine. Every compliment she offers becomes your oxygen. Every touch she provides turns into your lifeline. But addicts always need more of their drug to feel satisfied, and she knows this better than you do. A woman doesn't need to use logic to control you. She doesn't need to win arguments or prove her point. She just needs to look you in the eye and make you feel special. And you'll destroy yourself for more of that feeling. You'll compromise your values, betray your friends, abandon your dreams, all while thinking you're fighting for love. Plato didn't just warn about individual men falling into this trap. He warned about entire civilizations collapsing when men surrendered discipline for pleasure. He watched it happen in ancient Athens. He saw leaders compromise their principles to please the masses, just like modern men compromise their souls to please women. The pattern is always the same. Weakness leads to destruction. But Plato also provided the solution. He taught that your highest purpose as a man is to pursue truth, to climb out of the cave of illusions, to face the light of reality, even if it blinds you, even if it burns away everything you thought was real. This is the path of the philosopher, the lover of wisdom. Most men are terrified of losing a woman's approval. But Plato teaches you to fear something far worse, losing your own soul. He wrote that your soul takes on the character of whatever you pursue. If you spend your life chasing validation, your soul becomes weak. If you make her attention your highest goal, your soul shrinks into something small and pathetic. Every time you bend your values to keep her happy, you're not loving her. You're betraying the highest version of yourself. Every time you silence your truth to avoid her anger, you're committing spiritual suicide. Every time you sacrifice your mission for her emotions, you're proving you can't be trusted with greatness. And Plato made it clear. Betrayal of yourself is the root of all other betrayals. Plato described the perfect leader as a philosopher king, a man who has mastered his own soul, a man who seeks truth above comfort, a man who cannot be shaken by the emotional games others play. If you can look at a woman and see not a goddess to worship or an enemy to fear, but simply another human being, you become this kind of man. The man who rules himself cannot be manipulated, cannot be destroyed by rejection, cannot be played by emotional games. He doesn't hate women. He simply sees them clearly. He doesn't avoid relationships. He enters them from a position of strength. He doesn't fear being alone. He enjoys his own company. This knowledge separates boys from men. Boys hear this and get angry because it threatens their fantasies. Men hear this and get curious because it offers them freedom. Boys want to blame women for their problems. Men want to solve their own problems. Boys stay in the cave worshiping shadows. Men climb toward the light. So here's my final challenge to you. Stop being a prisoner of your own mind. Stop worshiping the shadows on the wall. Stop trading your soul for temporary validation. Face the mirror of truth. Confront the weakness you've been hiding from. Master the wild horse of your desires. Become the philosopher, king of your own life. The philosophers knew this eternal truth. The man who conquers himself conquers his world. The man who rules his soul rules his destiny. The man who masters his mind masters his reality. This isn't about hating women or avoiding relationships. This is about becoming the kind of man who deserves respect. The kind of man who commands attention without begging for it. The kind of man who gives love from abundance, not neediness. You have two paths in front of you right now. Path 1. Stay in the cave, worship the shadows, remain a slave to your appetites. Keep chasing validation. Keep compromising your values. Keep living as a prisoner. Path 2. Climb toward the light. Face the truth. Master your soul. Become the philosopher, the king, the man who rules himself. The choice is yours. But remember, once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Once you taste real freedom, you can never go back to slavery. The ancient wisdom is calling. Your higher self is waiting. The only question left is, are you ready to answer?